Hello, everybody. I'm Nicole.
I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Sarah, and together we're the co-founders of Whale Tales, a living library of cetacean stories.
And today we welcome back a very good friend of ours. It's
Ashley!
Woohoo!
So, sit back and enjoy as we dive right in.
Yay, 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 yay!
Yay!
Ashley, we are all equally excited to have you here. But I will say I am especially excited because I didn't get to talk to you on the podcast the last time that you were here because you were acting for me because I had
Baby bear number 2.
And I'm yes, a baby number 2, and I'm super pumped to actually get to talk to you and not just listen to you in my ears.
Oh gosh.
It has.
Oh, right? Well, said baby is a year old.
Oh my goodness.
You know.
Hands full.
Yeah.
And the other baby is 4, and that's also insane.
It's true.
Yeah, and there's whales out there that are older than both of them and newer than them. So, you know.
It's true.
The circle of life.
Super excited to talk about it because the season is ending now-ish in the Salish Sea. And so, for those of you just joining us, Ashley's a whale-watch naturalist for 11 years out of Vancouver. So, we always get her to come around this time of the year and give us her report.
This just in from the last 6 months.
Breaking news. This just in.
Breaking news. The season has been great, a little bit unnerving and unusual. So we had a lot of great sightings. We're still going to the end of October currently. And the whales obviously don't go away after we shut down, but this year was kind of funny because it sort of harkened back to like when I first started, when we didn't have as many sightings in July and August. So it was sort of, like in my 11 years, it was only in the first few that we had seasons where we were like around 90% successful. And that was sort of what this year sort of brought to us. So I've been used to like the 95, 97, 100% successful the last few years. But yeah, the humpbacks didn't come in to the area much in July and August like they have the last couple of years. So we had to wait until September. And then this just the last couple of days, we've had a lot more kind of closer to us. Like we've had to go kind of more towards the Gulf Islands to see the bigger congregations for us in this part of the Salish Sea of the humpbacks. But they're starting to spread out again, which is great. So we're not having to all watch the same whales, which is very nice. We've had days where we've had whales all to ourselves, and then we hear about the others, and we can kind of hop around and see. We saw 8 yesterday. 8. And those are just the personal like encounters. We could see others further out around us as well, but we had 8. The weather's been really weird. Much cooler, much wetter spring than has been the case for a while. And we had a lot of wind days this year too, so it's been windier out in the strait as well.
It could totally be a coincidence, but yeah, for people who aren't here, also like we had a really weird like late start to summer also, so like no idea if that's related, but you know, the weather's been weird. So
how about the bigs?
The bigs, yeah, we've had some pretty awesome big sightings. Got to see some new faces, new fins for us this year. We had the T35As, which I've never seen before, so 11 years I've never seen them, and the 71Bs, which I've never seen before either. The T71Bs were hanging out with the T124Ds, and T124D has a newer calf. I can't remember if it's this year's baby or last year's baby, but little one, and I'm very excited. I think I got the gender shot on that one. and it's a little girl. I'm gonna get confirmation on that. I'm not gonna say that definitively until I send that over to Gary and Jared, but I'm pretty sure that was who breached and showed us her belly. So yeah. And speaking of unusual, well, I guess that wasn't really talking about unusual bigs, but I guess sort of. Yeah, unusual for me. We also had Indy, who is T65A5, who has just dispersed from his family. Seems to just be having the adventure of his life. One of the days we had him, like he's 8 years old.
Oh, that's not that old.
No, it's not. That's like an 8-year-old human leaving the family, being like, "See ya, Mom. I got an apartment. I'm feeding myself. I'm good." I know, it's crazy. So he's just, he was hanging out kind of closer to Vancouver a bunch, and one day, can't remember what group was with him at the start, but then they went into Burrard Inlet, and he was off of the north arm of the Fraser, and everybody thought that, this was a really, young whale, and called DFO, and DFO came out and kind of monitored him, and then saw him feeding on his own. So they were like, "Nah, it's weird, but he's fine." And it's clearly his thing. So then we got IDs on him after that, and figured out who he was, and we were like, "Oh, that makes sense." But then one day we were with him, and man, I was on a boat with him, and he got a harbor porpoise.
Oh.
It wasn't an adult harbor porpoise. It was like a juvenile, or I don't know about a neonate. It was bigger than that, I think. But definitely a smaller harbor porpoise. So it was crazy to watch him take this harbor porpoise down. We had him basically all to ourselves because everybody else was like, "Oh, it's just one orca. We'll go see if we can find anything else." But then everybody kind of came and spent some time with him, and every boat got to see him eat something. Like, he took down a porpoise with us. He took down a harbor seal with the next boat. He took down, it was like porpoise and harbor seals all day long. Like, he just went on a killing and eating spree. Yeah, it was
teenager.
Yes. It was very, very surreal. And I was shocked because I was like, okay, like I could see him getting a harbor seal. Like, harbor seals are like going to McDonald's. Yeah. It doesn't take much effort, right? But I was like, a harbor porpoise? How the heck is he taking on a harbor porpoise all by himself? Even a little one. But yeah, he did it.
So, you think he's gonna be like 3 times the size next year? Because he's been bulking up.
I don't know. And it's crazy because he was one who had a different nickname. I think was he Elsie? I think is what he was called by Dina Matkin. So we put it to a vote this year and renamed him Indy for his kind of Indiana Jones approach to life.
Love it.
So he's the sort of intrepid adventurer.
Yeah, because what age would be a normal age to leave? Like, in their teens, right?
Bigs don't usually leave until the family. Well, so here's the thing: we say usually, but at the same time, like the last couple of years, the bigs have just sort of thrown curveball after curveball at us. So a bunch of weird dispersals have taken place. But usually it's not males that leave. It's usually once I said that, I was like, wait, no, they don't. Usually the females with babies.
Those sort of spread out once there's too many generations.
Yeah, it's usually the females with calves of their own that are like, okay, I'm gonna become the matriarch of my own pod now. Bye, Mom. I'll meet up with you sometimes, but see ya. But yeah, it's just,
you can't tell me what to do anymore, Mom.
I got my own family. No, so yeah, it's a. I mean, that's super strange. Like he's the probably one of the most unusual.
Yeah.
Especially because I think he's joined back up a couple times, but for a very short period of time before. Like he's been seen way more on his own than he's been seen with other pods even. So, he's just an odd little duck.
Man, maybe he's starting a trend.
Yeah. But
maybe.
I gotta say, I kind of love him.
Well, and there's been so much change in like overall behavior with the bigs in our area. So yeah, who knows?
But yeah,
it's one of those things. Like just thinking about
ever evolving.
Yeah, like the 7 years that we've been around, things have changed so much. Because you look back at stories from like summer 2015, and they're all like, "We had so many bigs today," and it was like, I don't know, 20.
Yeah.
Which is,
yeah.
Like I'm not mad about seeing 20 whales, but and then it was just all southern residents, and it's just completely flipped. And so like it hasn't been even 10 years that the bigs have been really here, kind of all the time. So who knows what's going to happen with them and with. They obviously have enough to eat, so.
I mean,
It's almost like science is happening all around us.
I know.
No.
So you were saying that you earlier in the season, you guys had sort of like lower than the past couple of years for successful days of sightings. Did it improve later in the season?
We had a few in the earlier season, but since the humpbacks have come back for September, October, it's definitely gone back up. And gosh, we've had some days where we've had both orca and humpbacks at this time of year, which usually at this time of year it's mostly just the HBs, but yeah, it's been a good mix.
Nice.
It's sort of weird because we had humpbacks. So humpbacks came in late. So we had grays at the beginning and we had orca at the beginning. And then I don't even know, might have had a couple of humpbacks in May. And then we had some in June.
Right.
And then there was, patchy bits here, there in July and August, but it wasn't like normal or like the new normal that we've gotten used to. Yeah, I think that might have been it. I mean, it was kind of a weirder spring weather-wise, so maybe, I don't know, maybe there was more food up higher, maybe, or it also sounds like a lot stayed down off of California this year. So could just be that there's so much food there, why bother coming up? Yeah. So I mean, I don't have any real data on that, but anecdotally, it sounded like there was a lot that stayed down off of California this year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and to be honest, I don't think I've seen much in the way of actual feeding, like at the surface. I don't think I've seen any lunge feeding this year. I think some of the companies might have seen it a little bit, but not like normal. Although I did see, I think it was Prowler who tried to do some bubble net feeding all on his own, which is not the first time we've seen it. It still feels like they're just practicing. It feels like they were taught by somebody. Yeah, they were taught by somebody up north, and they're like, oh, okay, well, let's see if I can do this. But it's sort of one of those things that it's hard.
Well, it's very complicated.
Like you can't really photograph it, because it's just a single, and because the bubbles are, not. I don't know. It doesn't photograph well currently. So I guess the only way to really document it would be to film it, but even I don't know. It doesn't last for very long. It does just feel like they're still practicing, and it's not really a full form of feeding yet.
Honestly, I actually kind of think that's even cooler than if they were. I mean, it would be very cool if they were bubble net feeding right here, but the idea that this, because we've talked a lot in past episodes about songs and singing songs around our coast, and the idea that this is kind of just like it is a transitory space for them. And so why not just have a place to kind of practice without so much pressure, not as many eyes on you in the humpback world?
No, not
Okay.
as many buddies around that, you have to, join the group and pull your weight. You can just practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool. Yeah.
I'm just picturing juvenile humpbacks practicing the bubbles. That's pretty cute.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if we know how old Prowler is. I think Prowler is one of the ones that's newish. It's not super new to the catalogs, but newer, but not one that we saw as a baby. So I don't think we know how old Prowler is or who Prowler belongs to or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. There's people who have better data collection than I do on that one. But I don't think we know who Prowler belonged to. But I think it was Prowler who was doing the bubble net feeding. It's not the only one. We've definitely seen it in previous years, like over the last maybe 3, once or twice each season. But it's still, every time it happens, everybody's like, what is happening? Which is great. Keeps everybody happy.
Well, I guess on the subject of calves, so if the humpbacks weren't really around until kind of like the end of their migration, as opposed to coming through a lot at the beginning of the migration, did you see many calves this year? Or?
Yeah. So, Big Mama was the first one that I got to see with a baby this year. It's so exciting because it's been so long since she's brought a baby back.
I know.
So,
somebody just posted a photo of Pop-Tart. I
think Pop-Tart was the last one. I think he's a 2018.
Yeah, so that's like
2018 calf, I think, or 16. 2016? Yeah. I think it's 2016 now that I think about it. So yeah, I mean, it's such a crazy long time between calves, especially considering she used to be, the humpback that brought back a calf every 2 years. And, and so, I mean, I don't know. I started to be like, okay, are humpbacks post-reproductive? What's happening? But so it was really exciting to see her back with a calf. I didn't realize it. It sounds like earlier in the season, somebody sent Mers a photo with a gender shot. And so it has been confirmed as a boy. So that's exciting.
Because she's like at least 25. Was she a juvenile?
The first year that she was seen, she was the very first humpback to return to these waters, at least documented. I think that was in 97 or 98.
Yeah, 97.
Yeah, and then she disappeared for a few years and then came back and brought friends a few years later. So I don't think I don't know if she was a juvenile at that point. It's anybody's guess. Yeah, so like I don't think we know how old she, or even if she was a juvenile when she first showed up. I think it was Mark Mallison who was the first one to identify. But I think at that point, like, there wasn't really a reference for the size of a humpback even, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Hard to know.
And if she was by herself, that makes it even harder to really say how big she was, too.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to get the rumor started that she's also 106. Still procreating.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
She's my fave, so.
Yeah, I mean, she's the logo.
Yeah.
The Wild Whales logo. That's how important she is. I had somebody, oh my gosh. So we saw Big Mama and her calf. Somebody complained later that we put too much focus on Big Mama. And I was like,
how dare you, sir?
No such thing. Yeah, I was like, no such thing.
He's the reason that we all are here.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so strange. I mean, yes, she's only one individual, but like she's the one that we've consistently seen for so long, and she's had so many calves and like successful calves, and yeah.
Like she's literally, I mean, I give her absolutely 100% credit for humpbacks coming back here.
Yeah.
Like, pretty sure it's
and
just
also, like, it's not like you would have focused on her if you weren't also
with
looking
her.
At her.
Yeah.
Can't please everybody, I guess.
Yeah. So that was really interesting. We also had Anvil. Anvil showed up with her very first calf this year.
Oh, yay.
I love her. So I've known her my entire whale watching career, and she's never brought a calf back. She's always been a big whale from the time I've known her, so I don't know how old she is either. So it's really exciting to see her with her first baby up here.
It's fascinating.
Who else? The PWWA has been kind of keeping track of humpback babies this year, as they have been the last several. This year, there are 23 confirmed calves in the Salish Sea. Last year, there was 21. The year before was 11, and the year before that was 7. And that's just in the Salish Sea, so that's not including some of the North Coast confirmed calves as well. But super crazy. It's good. Keeps increasing, which is exciting. Means we'll have more and more babies and more adults bringing babies back eventually.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Indeed.
I had a really cool encounter with a humpback named Smiley. Actually, I had 2 encounters where her and her calf did this. They were doing synchronized breaching.
The best.
I was so happy about that. I've never seen, I mean, I'm sure it happens more often than I'm aware of, obviously, but I've never gotten to see, I've seen humpbacks, just buddies do, 1 or 2 synchronized breaches, but never a mom and calf kind of over and over again, which was super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the big adventure this year was the Rizzo's dolphins.
I know. I was just going to ask you about that because you already sent in your story, but let's talk about it again because it's a pretty exciting time.
I was shocked. I mean, there was a group of them that came in January. Obviously, our tours weren't going out then, but some of the companies were going out. I think there was a group of about 20 of them at that time that went into Saanich Inlet, and I was like, how dare they come in during my off season? It's just like the sperm whale that came through years ago. The day before our season opened. I was like, damn it.
I need to get on a boat.
Yeah, I was like, this is not fair. But it's okay. I got to listen to it on the hydrophones, and that was almost as good. And so then we picked up. So it was a group of 4 Rizzos that we got to hang out with, and they stuck around for a couple of days at least. They were reported the day before that we got to see them. But in all honesty, like I don't know if we were out that day, but when I saw it come up in the sightings reports, I was like, I don't know if this person knows what they're talking about. They totally did. Clearly, I'm the jerk for even thinking that. I don't know about that. Well, it's just weird, right?
I thought that too. Even when I saw your post,
did you go out into open ocean? What are you like? How long was that tour? I was shocked, and the boat that found them the day that we got to hang out with them couldn't stay with them, so I was like, please let me be the one that finds them. I was driving that day, so I was like, I don't care how long this tour is gonna be today. I know I've got another afternoon tour, but I don't care. We're gonna find these whales. So of course I'm driving towards the last reported area, and of course I find a humpback whale. And I'm like, I love you, but god damn it. Yeah, we hung out. I think it was Orion. Yeah, if memory serves.
I think so.
I should have been looking up all the details of that sighting before I popped on here, but yeah, and Orion's a cool whale, and I absolutely love that animal, but I was like, oh no. I was so disrespectful to Orion. But one of my other boats, ended up going a bit lower than the direction we were going, so they ended up picking them up. But they got them, and they were quite backlit. So the naturalist on board, even though it was roughly in the same area that the Rizzos were reported, she saw them and thought they were orca. So they get on the radio and report orca, and they're like, but we don't know what type yet. And so they're like, Ashley, can you come over here and try to figure out what type of orca these are? And I was like, I don't know if these are going to be the orca. So I go over, and I left Orion with one of the other boats, so we didn't lose track of that handsome. I think it's a boy. Now that I don't know if we know the gender of Orion or not, but so we headed over, and as we were getting closer, I was like, oh, those fins don't look right for orca. So yeah, I mean, when they're backlit, I could kind of get it if you're not really, sure. But yeah, I was, I looked and I was like, oh no, those are sharp. Those are sharp fins. And then as soon as, we were out of the backlit section, then they're much different color than a dark black orca fin. So yeah, so it was really cool. And the morning trip, we did get to see a couple of them do like half breaches, which was really neat. I didn't get many photos of that. It happened too quickly, but and then they were just super chill, and it was really cool to watch. And 4 is an unusual number. So yeah, so it sounds like they're usually in much larger groups. Like even 20 apparently is a small number for those guys. So so it's really interesting, and I don't know what brought them in, what kept them in for as long as they were, because I think that group of 20 was here for like a week in Saanich Inlet. And everybody was a little bit worried about them because they were like, what are they eating in there? Like are they stuck? Have they gotten disoriented? So yeah, it was really, really strange for them to just go and hang out in Saanich Inlet for a week. But the 4 that we had were there for, I don't know, 3 or 4 days, as well. But it was so neat to watch them, like the coloration and the scars and scratches on their body. It's just so incredible. Just in terms of looks, I think they're one of my favorites. They're just so interesting. And like you could easily identify between the 4 that we had. Like they were so different. And it was really cool too to watch them surface. I got a few photos where like they were right at the surface. Their blowhole was open, but they hadn't even started to exhale. With the humpbacks and with the orca, like we see them kind of come to the surface and they start exhaling before they even reach the surface. So you see those kind of bubbles as soon as they're in that big kind of bubbling exhale. But that wasn't really what happened with the Rizzos. It was really interesting. I don't know if that's, normal, or if that happens all the time, or if it was just that particular, encounter that they weren't really exhaling as they were coming up, and just exhaling but their blowholes were open. Like it was very weird. Yeah. So I don't know. They're really interesting animals, and I hope that we get to see more of them. I mean, I hope that it's not due to anything nefarious that they're in this, like, not nefarious is the wrong term for that, but yeah, I don't want it to be for a bad reason that they're here. Hopefully it's just, I don't know. I don't know what caused them to come in here, but if it's okay, if there's nothing going on that's wrong, then I hope they come back.
The California bigs?
I mean, I would assume so.
Yeah, I sort of assumed that bigs
I feel like with the...
will try to eat anything.
Yeah, like, is it maybe in the same kind of ratio as how often bigs try and eat a lag? Like, not
yeah, maybe.
Preferred?
I mean...
Yeah, because they're too fast.
Too much work?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know either.
The whale watching companies that we know in California, I don't think I've...
Hearing about...
I don't remember ever hearing about a recent attack.
Well, I guess it depends on how frequently you see them in the same area too, right? So whether it's Rizos or the, pilot whales or false killers, all of those would potentially be on the menu.
Yeah, the California bigs are just so random and actually transient.
It's not my story in any way, shape, or form, but did you guys see the minke whale hunt down south?
Yeah.
There's a lot of mixed emotions on that one, hey? That was a known minke whale, so it wasn't just some stranger minke whale.
Like a passerby.
Yeah. I mean, up here, like, we don't really get to see minke hardly ever. I think the furthest north I've ever seen a minke in our section of the Salish Sea that we do whale watching from is like Boundary Pass. So it's really weird because you wonder what the barrier is. Why aren't they in the Strait of Georgia? Why aren't they in the Gulf Islands? Or
like, it's not like there's any, like, it's humpbacks and grays, but they're down there too, so it's not overlap or something.
Yeah.
And there's nobody else big. We're not getting fins or anybody down here, so.
Yeah. I mean, it might be sort of like somewhat cultural, like if you don't know that the Salish Sea, like that it goes through, that you can get out on the other side, right? Like, I don't know. So, they send sort of individuals or smaller groups in to explore. I have no idea. This is just like total guess.
I mean, there seems to be like a seasonally resident population of minkies around the San Juans. So what is it about the San Juans that keeps them there and doesn't have them actually explore anywhere else?
Yeah. Come up to a place that's not that much different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't know. Just maybe no need. Like there's...
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah.
Yeah, they're happy there. They have enough food. They don't need to expand.
Yeah. They're like, I know this area. I don't need to go any further.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to like do a risky thing and like try a new area unless you need to.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah.
No.
There's already bigs in the San Juan, so.
Yeah. And then some of the grays that we saw this year, the early season, was the same grays we had last year.
Oh, awesome.
Which was cool.
That's cool.
So we got some returners, and hopefully we'll see that next year.
That's cool.
We were just thinking about you because we saw a harbor porpoise in English Bay, and it was almost exactly 5 years since we both saw that gray whale in English Bay.
And it was like the exact same spot.
Well, and it's crazy.
See whales in English Bay.
Never ever. They don't come in that far. What are you talking about? That pod of orca didn't come into Falls Creek on my days off either, a few years ago.
No.
What is it?
But Lindsay and I were walking by and all these people were like, are they orca? And we're like, we saw some commotion and there was a bunch of seabirds and stuff. There was obviously like a bait ball or whatever. And we're looking and we're like there was enough commotion that there could have been an orca. But then when you see something comes up and nothing else comes up, you're like, nope.
Yeah. Harbor porpoise. Yeah.
Yep. Harbor porpoise. Yeah. I think 100%. A couple and like 400 birds.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've had.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Yeah, because there was like a huge crowd.
I mean,
Aww, that harbor porpoise was having the best time.
They deserve some love. Those poor harbor porpoise.
No, exactly. No, but
Yeah,
the crowd
yeah.
all thought it was a killer whale.
Well,
so.
I mean, the crowd always thinks it's something that it isn't, right?
Of course, yeah. So we got to disappoint everybody.
I mean,
Yep.
But I wasn't disappointed. I thought it was cool.
Yeah,
we
for
were
sure.
excited because I've never seen one there.
I definitely have seen a lot of harbor porpoise this year. We even had a day where we just kind of heading out of English Bay, so like between Point Atkinson and Point Grey, and there was just so many harbor porpoise that were clearly feeding. They didn't care that we were there. They just kept surfacing kind of all over the place. Some were like porpoising, like chasing maybe some fish, I don't know, and then they'd come back porpoising the other way, and there were multiple groups and they were decent size, and we could just stop and watch them. Like, my passengers were like, "Oh, this is really cool," and I was like, "Yes, it really is." We never get to stop for harbor porpoise because usually they're like, "Ah! I need to go. Those people stopped. They saw me. I'm not here." So it was really neat to stop and slow down with them. But those are some of the really cool stories. I'm sure there's others, but those are the ones that really stick out this year.
So before we continue with the rest of the episode, we want to take a moment to tell you about how you can support our podcast and everything we do at Whale Tales.
You can become a patron at patreon.com/whaletales. You can join us for $1 a month at the porpoise level, $5 a month at the dolphin level, and $10 a month at the whale level.
And each level comes with a variety of perks, including discounts on our merch, thank you postcards signed by all three of us, and the rare occasions that all three of us get to be in the same location at the same time. Plus, if you like listening to us, which you do, obviously, because you're listening to us right now, and you want to listen to more of what we have to say about maybe whale tangential things and romance, you, as a patron, you can also get access to extended interviews with actual people who know even more than we do about whales. Or you could also listen to our newest Patreon-only episode, which is where we dissect the Hallmark movie Splash of Love. And I just can't talk enough about that movie because it's just so bananas. And we went on for a really, 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 really long time.
And now I wanted to record this part especially while Ashley was still here to see if Ashley has watched a Splash.
Yes, exactly.
I haven't, only because when it was on, I was not home, so I unfortunately didn't get to record it or anything like that. So I have to go and find it because, yes, I've heard some stories.
It's an adventure.
It is. And if you want to hear all about it, basically to the point that you don't even have to have seen it yourself, then become a patron, because you'll get a splash out of our Splash of Love episode. Oh.
If you like looking at pictures of J26 Mike and being told that whale is pregnant, then this episode is for you.
Seriously? Oh my god.
Yep. Very seriously. God. Yep.
I mean, he is a special kind of whale, but oh no.
But thank you so much to all of our patrons and supporting us in our educational podcasts and in our weird tangents. You are amazing.
Agreed. And if you aren't able to support us financially, there's still lots of things you can do to help us out. You can leave us a rating or a review on your podcast platform of choice, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or you can just tell your friends who like podcasts and cetaceans and science all about the podcast so that they can listen too.
Yeah. You can follow us on social media and send us your feedback so that whether you're a patron or not, we can keep making the podcast even better.
You can also follow Ashley on social media. She is Vital Ocean on Instagram. And anywhere else you want to share?
Well, I just started something new that's not whale related, but is still water related.
Yeah.
I started a TikTok that's called Slow Mo Water AK. Yeah. Oh shoot, I don't know what it is. But look up Slow Mo Water. I'm on there.
That's
I love
amazing.
it. I'm obsessed with my slow mo water videos, and I put some music to it, and it's nice and mostly peaceful.
Oh, that sounds awesome and like exactly what I need in my life.
I mean, I don't know if we need more TikTok, but I mean, it's a good TikTok.
Still, I mean, if we're gonna have more TikTok, it might as well be slow mo water and not whatever else.
Yeah. I think on TikTok it is slow mo water, and on Instagram it's slow mo water AK. It's SLOMO water.
Ashley, very important question. And we have asked you this before. So if you are able to think of one you have not shared with us before, can you please share with us today and our listeners a fun flipper fact, fun flipper fact, fun flipper fact with Ashley. It's time. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That was so different than your previous versions of that. How about Rizzos usually eat squid?
Oh, there we go.
No, we very rarely talk about them. So
I mean, I think that's even one of the. I mean, not that we don't have squid. I actually have no idea. Actually, but another weird reason for them to be in the Salish, like in the Strait of Georgia. I'm glad that was maybe an okay fact to share.
Any fact is an okay fact.
I was trying to think of something that we hadn't talked about, but, I don't know. I don't think that's the only thing that they eat, but I think that makes up a pretty significant part of their diet.
So while you were out in the water, as you're out often, and now when we're here in this crazy, scary weather time, do you have any calls to action that you can think of for this episode?
Yeah, I think we've done this a few times. I think it's just more important than ever that everybody does, at least little things. Nobody's asking for anybody to be perfect. Perfect is an impossibility. So finding little ways in your day-to-day life to minimize your impact on the planet. So, minimizing your plastics use, bringing a reusable coffee cup or water bottle with you wherever you go, reusable shopping bags all the time. It starts with baby steps. And as we get better with our baby steps, they become second nature. And then we start to make other changes, and we start to affect the people around us as well. So as we make changes, our friends and family start to make changes too. And I know sometimes we can look at, what we're doing and think, oh, I'm just one person. My small changes mean nothing in the overall scheme of things, but we're a planet full of people who can be making small changes. And it certainly adds up to a big difference when everybody is making those small changes.
Yes. Couldn't have said it better. That was great. Thank you.
Well, thank you very, very, very much, Ashley, for being with us today and for being awesome.
My pleasure to hang out with you guys whenever you guys need me. I love it.
Oh, thank you. We will absolutely be calling on you again. If you, the listener, would like to share your thoughts on this episode or any episodes, you can visit our website, whale-tales.org, to find links to our various social media handles so that you can drop us a line.
You can also head to our website to subscribe to the podcast, check out our merchandise, learn about supporting us and becoming a patron, and read over 1,100 whale, dolphin, and porpoise stories, including a whole bunch of Ashley's awesome stories.
So many.
That's whale-tales.org. Tales like the story, not tales like the animal.
And if you've seen a cetacean, we would love to add your story to our library. Click the share link on our website, contact us on social media, whaletales_org on Instagram, or you can email us a voice memo and tell us all about your incredible cetacean encounter.
Finally, we want to acknowledge that we recorded today's episode on the unceded territories of the Coast Salish people and the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, as well as the homelands of the Tsawwassen First Nation.
Thank you again so much for listening and for supporting everything that we do. We hope you have a whaley great day.